Hope you had a good Christmas. Let's go over some news. Here's some topics of the day. Congressman Raskin is saying the Electoral College reform in the Omnibus bill doesn't go far enough. The Senate passes a nuclear security bill to reduce reliance on imports. China has sold off 14% of its treasuries in 2022, attempting to topple the U.S. as a world power. Russia escalates belligerent language ahead of a possible winter offensive. Ukraine says a peace summit is possible, but only after Russia is tried for war crimes. Chinese carrier strike group practices attacks on Japanese islands. Taiwan increases military conscription to 1 year, citing the China threat. There have been multiple deadly attacks across Pakistan, and the U.S. Embassy has issued an alert. Representative Jamie Raskin, who will be ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee when the new Congress sits in January, said during an interview that the Electoral College has become a danger to the country's elections. Raskin said the reforms in the Electoral College Count Act included in the 2023 Omnibus spending bill did not go far enough. Democrats have long called for reform or complete abolishment of the Electoral College. And this is only intensified after the 2016 election, and many Democrat presidential primary candidates openly supported abolishing the Electoral College in 2020. The Senate passed a bill that will establish a nuclear fuel security program and require the Department of Energy to purchase 100 metric tons of low-enriched uranium per year by 2026. The bill would also require the Department of Energy to purchase 20 metric tons of high-assay, low-enriched uranium per year by 2027 and expand the American Assured Fuel Supply. The Assured Fuel Supply is a reserve of low-enriched uranium created by the DOE in 2011 as a backup supply of uranium in case of a supply disruption. According to data from the Energy Information Administration, only 5% of uranium in the U.S. was sourced domestically in 2021. 14% of U.S. uranium came from Russia and 35% from Kazakhstan. China is organizing a monetary coup against the dollar and seeks to topple the U.S. as a world power. According to the U.S. Treasury, China sold about 14%, $150 billion, of its U.S. Treasury securities between January and October of 2022. China has reduced its U.S. dollar reserves by $104 billion, a 3% reduction. China's U.S. Treasury holdings have been receding since peaking in 2013 at $1.3 trillion. As of October, China holds about $909 billion in U.S. Treasuries. In the near term, China has sold off treasuries to increase their dollar holdings to stabilize the Chinese yuan. The loss of the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency has empire-ending implications for the United States. While China's ejection of the United States military out of Asia and the Western Pacific has world reserve currency ending implications for the dollar. This is likely one of several reasons why China has steadily increased its gold holdings. After watching Russia sanctions, expect China to continue reducing their exposure to U.S. and dollar-denominated assets as the risk of economic and financial coercion through Western sanctions increases. Russia escalates belligerent language ahead of its possible winter offensive. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Monday that the U.S. and NATO are using Ukraine to defeat Russia on the battlefield in order to destroy it. Lavrov also said that Russia's terms for negotiated settlement are known and the Ukraine and its Western backers should engage in a dialogue for peace, or Russia's military will settle the issue. According to a Belarusian defense ministry official, Russia's tactical missile system and the S-400 air defense systems deployed to Belarus are now up and ready for action. Russia is preparing for a winter offensive that it hopes will finally crack Ukrainians' resistance. Belarus military forces have mobilized on Ukraine's north border, while Russian forces have consolidated and reinforced their lines in the southeast Ukraine. Lavrov's comments paint the US and NATO as existential threats to Russia. Ukraine says that peace summit's possible, but only after Russia's tried for war crimes. Ukraine's foreign minister said on Monday that his government could participate in a peace summit by the end of February. According to an AP report, the foreign minister preferred to hold the summit at the United Nations, with Secretary General Antonio Guterres as mediator. Kuleba added that Russia could be invited, but only after the country faced a war crimes tribunal. The idea of a peace summit only after one of the two belligerents, Russia, is tried for peace crimes is an unserious proposition. Kuleba's comments call into question the mental fitness of Ukraine's leadership and further supports Russian President Vladimir Putin's efforts to paint Ukraine and its Western backers as the only obstacles to achieving a negotiated end to the conflict. A Chinese carrier strike group is practicing attacks on Japanese islands. According to a report from Japanese media, a Chinese naval carrier strike group has been conducting a number of simulated attacks on Japanese facilities along the islands. The report cites a Japanese Ministry of Defense official that said the carrier strike group was also conducting nighttime flight operations and attack drills. The strike group consists of an aircraft carrier, a cruiser, a destroyer, a supply ship, and an electronics reconnaissance ship. If China were to conduct an offensive military operation to seize Taiwan, they would likely also attempt to seize Japanese islands and facilities in the Nansei and Ryukyu Islands to use as security outposts. Taiwan government officials announced it is extending the military conscription period from 4 months to 1 year. The move comes as China is conducting large-scale military exercises in the waters around Taiwan. Taiwan's president said on Tuesday that the current military system, including training reservists, is inefficient to cope with China's rising military threat, especially if it launched a rapid attack on the island. There's been multiple deadly attacks across Pakistan, and the U.S. Embassy has issued an alert. Pakistani security forces are searching for perpetrators behind multiple attacks in southwest Pakistan that killed 6 military members and wounded 17 civilians. The attacks, which occurred in the Belarusian province, were blamed on the TTP terrorist group. Earlier this month, the TTP was responsible for taking hostages at a government counterterrorism detention facility in Banu and overrunning a police station in Wana, both located in Pakistan's tribal regions along the border with Afghanistan. Sunday, the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad published an alert for American citizens to stay clear of the Marriott Hotel in Islamabad after authorities received credible information of a possible attack on the hotel that is popular with foreign visitors. Well, that's it for the news today. But I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about the censorship that is happening and that has been happening for quite some time on these social media sites, including the very one you're watching this on now. A good example is I have a complete story all ready to go. I did the research, with some time, I put a lot of time into it. It's not very long. It would come with some video evidence and so forth. And it has to do with the jab, and it has nothing to do with the efficacy of it. It has nothing to do with whether you should or shouldn't, that's between you and your doctor. It has nothing to do with any sort of theories on anything else that has to do. Look, it's simply a report on why 30% haven't received the jab. I don't even want to say it, because if I say it, the algorithm is going to bury me, and it will. It has. On Facebook, I'm shadow banned. I say anything on Facebook, it doesn't get seen by anybody, not even my friends or even my wife, who's set to get a notification whenever I post. She doesn't even get that notification. So, I mean, shadow banning is worst kind of banning, because you don't even know what's happening. And yeah, okay, they're private companies. Well, except for every single one of these private companies has the reach of millions of people. And what I had to say was just informative. I'm not an extremist. I don't have extremist views. I politically center right a little bit. That could change. It did in 2006 or whatever. You know, I mean, my political stance, my political, where I stand politically, has changed over the years as views and politicians have changed. I'm not a loyalist. I'm not a Republican loyalist, not a Democratic loyalist. That's just ridiculous to be. I mean, I watched Senator Tester and Nancy Pelosi stand on the backs of dead veterans' families and use them and the groups and the protesters, the veterans, sitting out there in wheelchairs on oxygen for an entire week. I mean, it stormed one day and they didn't move, and they did it. Why did they do it? Because they thought the Senate was blocking a bill to help veterans that were being sick from these burn pits in these countries. These burn pits were like, you couldn't escape them. They were massive burn pits where they threw all kinds of trash, tires and whatever into them, okay? And you went to sleep breathing it. You woke up breathing it. And then you have these veterans who have lung problems that can't be connected to their service in the old way that the VA would meet VA requirements. So the Senate drafts a bill, and overwhelming support goes to the House Democrats. Okay. And then in July, it gets changed. Goes back to the Senate. The Senate didn't like the change, but yet Pelosi, who's leader of the House, and Senator Tester, who was there when the bill was drafted, sat out there in front of these veterans and their families using using Jon Stewart as a lightning rod, okay, to sit here and push this lie that nothing had changed. Well, I went to Congress.gov and I proved it. I proved they changed it in July. Okay, there was a big change that went to that bill. So that irritated the crap out of me. So of course I had to make a video about it, and you can see it on my YouTube channel. And as for the Republicans, are you kidding me? How, after 2 years of what we've seen happening, 2 years, I mean, you got to hand it to the Democratic Party. They have teamed up. They have stuck together, and they have rammed through so much. It's impressive. It really is. I got to hand it to the Democrats for that. You know, and then the Republicans come along. And honestly, I really thought that there was going to be a red wave, not because the news said there's going to be a red wave. I hardly ever watch the news, hardly ever. I mean, for topics maybe, but I don't listen to Fox and I mean, if anything, on my channel, I've got a video making fun of Jesse Waters for his parabolic language and about Pelosi's car accident, how it was so terrible and all of this and that. It was just a regular accident. Okay. It's a pathetic little puff piece. And I saw that on YouTube and I just like, are you kidding me? So I posted about it. Okay. Now, as for the Republicans and their red wave, it didn't happen. That blew me away. It really did. After 2 years of everything that's been happening, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you've been paying attention, the fact that it was even close really blew my mind, and I couldn't understand it until I realized I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to talk shows. Now, the Republicans have the House, barely, okay? And a small group of Republicans have decided that they're going to hold the rest of the party hostage and say, if you don't vote the way we want to, if you don't push forward the programs we want to push forward, if you don't do the things that we want to do, then we're going to vote against you. And they did it. They did do it because the Republicans did not fold. The majority did not fold to these demands. So they went ahead and voted for the omnibus bill. This includes Senator Graham. I'm very disappointed. Okay. Mitch McConnell, not surprised. He's a rhino. He needs to get the F out. I'm tired of him. Really, I've been tired of him. Okay. The Republicans lack leadership. They lack ambition. Okay. In a sense that, that would bring younger people to vote. I mean, the Democrats, they have garnered the younger vote, and they've done that by giving them passion. Okay, young people are passionate about things. They think with their heart. You know, what's that saying? If you're not a liberal when you're young, then you don't have a heart. And if you're not a conservative when you're older, you don't have a brain. That's, you know, I don't agree with it 100%, but the point is that the Republican Party lacks that vision. They are a party of traditionalists. They're a party of old people, basically. You know, that's what they're viewed as. And the fact is, they need to come up with some sort of vision for the younger people to be passionate about, but they aren't. And now they're fighting amongst themselves. So, whatever I said politically, I said against stupid government. I said against stupid politicians and lying politicians. And I'm going to call out every one of them, left or right. I guess this would be left for you and right for, you know. But this, I cannot sit idly by and run a channel being quiet and trying to be centered and just gently give out this and that. It's not going to happen anymore. Excuse me. It's not going to happen anymore. It's not. I'm going to call it out. And the YouTube algorithm is probably going to bury me. And what am I going to do? Well, you can catch on Twitter. Political professor at Solenoid. I'll put it in the comments. You can catch me on Twitter. Right now, I can only run 2-minute videos there. So that is what it is. But at least there, I feel like since, you know, Twitter 2.0, we'll call it, I feel like I can say what I want to say, which again is nothing extreme. I'm not anti-government. I'm anti-stupid politician. I'm anti-lying politician. I'm anti-corrupt government. We need government. We absolutely do. When a state cannot take care of its people during a catastrophe, who do you turn to? They turn to the federal government for help. That's what we need, okay? That's what they're there for, all right? This is going to take care of things from overseas. The federal government. Do you think you're going to get all these states together to agree on something to handle that? The process would be so slow and unrealistic. So that being said, the channel's making a change. I am not going to hold back as much as I have been. My last video, you saw me wearing a 2A hat, Second Amendment hat. Well, that's because I believe in we have certain rights, and that's one of my believing. I also believe you have the right to love and marry who you want. So don't put me in some category because you don't know where I sit. I'm sitting here trying to tell you, I'm going to lose some of you. Fine, go. If you don't want information as it comes, if you don't want to know the truth, as I constantly prove through all kinds of tools that I use, then go. You can leave. It doesn't matter. I really don't care. If I reach one person, 2 people, 3, 12, 20, it doesn't really matter. If I reach anybody, then my goal is achieved. Because my goal here is to inform you, to keep you informed, and to show you who's lying and who's and who's corrupt. That's it. That's all I'm here to do. That's all I want to do. I think that's all I have to say for now. We'll have some more talks. I'll be a little more active on the channel. You're probably going to see more of me. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but for now, stay free. Keep an open mind, okay? Because that's really all you need to do is just keep an open mind. You need to take a step back, look at things at a broader picture. Don't just, I'm a Democrat, so everything the Democrats do, I'm going to agree with. I'm a Republican, so everything the Republicans do, I'm going to agree with. Tucker Carlson said this, so it must be true. CNN said this, so it must be true. Well, a lot of things they report on are true, but they come with an opinion. And their opinion tends to distort that truth. And a lot of times, they're flat out lying. Or they're just burying things. They're just not going to talk about them. Like the Twitter files. Have you seen anything on them? Has anybody reported on the Twitter files? Fox. I've seen Fox report on it. I don't know any. I don't, like I said, I don't watch the news, so I don't know who else is reporting on it except for small journalists, independent journalists. And these journalists that are reporting on this are leftist journalists. Okay? You're talking about a guy who worked under Obama and spent billions of dollars on clean energy. He's Michael Schallenberger? Are you kidding me? You're going to sit here and tell me that Twitter files, as reported by Michael Schallenberger, only one, and Matt Taibbi, okay, and a few others, you're going to tell me that that's biased reporting? No, it's not. There's a reason why Elon Musk gave Twitter files to these independent journalists. So you can't say that. All right. Well, that ends this episode. Like I said, we've seen more of me. Hopefully I keep the lights out of my eyes. I like wearing glasses to be able to read what I write. Get better at this. You know what? Have a great year. Have a great rest of your year. All right. Don't worry about too much. There's a lot going on to worry about, but don't let it be the center of your thinking. Think about it every day and all night long, okay? Because all it's going to do is put your body into stress. And when your body's in distress, it's not thinking about longevity. It's thinking about the here and now. It's thinking about protecting you now. So it's going to affect your health. We will get through this, as we always have. We will live another day, okay? But the importance is to be informed so you can make informed decisions when you vote or when you speak out. All right. Have a good year.